Dear friends, you've probably heard that there's this socialist vibe taking over in universities, right? And perhaps many of us are not too concerned about it. We perceive it as merely a phase of adolescence, a passing trend that may indeed fade with time, but are we aware of what it means for these ideas to be perpetuated in these institutions? Do we know the danger to which our children are being exposed when they come into contact with them? And what would it mean for Western democracies if future generations were governed by this ideology? So if you want to know more about this controversial topic and answer the questions I mentioned earlier, stay tuned until the end. And let's open the debate.
In recent years, the proliferation of diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) programs in universities has sparked significant controversy and debate. Critics argue that these initiatives, while ostensibly aimed at promoting diversity and equality, are rooted in Marxist ideology and pose a threat to traditional liberal values and democratic principles. This video will examine the key arguments and concerns surrounding DEI programs, including their perceived Marxist foundations, potential implications for future generations and Western democracies, and their impact on academic institutions and society at large.
The widespread implementation of DEI programs across academia has also raised concerns about their influence on institutional culture and academic freedom. Critics highlight how DEI bureaucracies have proliferated, often with unclear definitions and objectives, leading to a chilling effect on intellectual discourse and diversity of thought. They point to instances where scholars are required to adhere to DEI principles in their research and teaching, raising questions about academic autonomy and freedom of expression. Moreover, there are broader concerns about the implications of perpetuating Marxist ideologies within academic institutions. Critics argue that promoting a worldview based on identity politics and social justice issues could undermine the principles of equality and individual liberty upon which liberal democracies are founded. Furthermore, they warn against the dangers of stifling dissent and free inquiry, as questioning DEI orthodoxy is often met with accusations of racism or bigotry.
For example, 1/5 of the advertisements for higher education faculty jobs and more for prestigious posts require applicants to write statements of allegiance to DEI. Academic employment often depends on DEI-relevant presentations at scholarly conferences and publications in scholarly journals.
According to a 2024 report by Speech First, 2/3 of U.S. colleges and universities require students to complete DEI courses to graduate. The report surveyed 248 colleges and found that 165 of them require DEI courses, while 33% do not.
Increasingly, scholars are required to explain in advance how their research supports DEI. Such litmus tests are traditionally associated with totalitarian regimes and, in America, with McCarthyism. We all know how well those turned out.
The danger for liberal democracies and new generations embracing socialist ideas lies in the potential erosion of individual liberties, free markets, and the rule of law. Socialist ideologies often advocate for greater government control over the economy and personal lives, which can undermine the principles of democracy and lead to centralized power. Additionally, the redistribution of wealth and resources inherent in socialist policies may disincentivize innovation and entrepreneurship, stifling economic growth and prosperity.
But what makes them slap the Marxist label on this program? Focus on collective identity over individual merit. Marxist ideology emphasizes class struggle, and critics argue that DEI programs can prioritize group identity over individual merit or achievement. They believe this could lead to quotas or affirmative action policies that give preferential treatment to certain identity groups. For power redistribution, Marxism seeks to redistribute power from the ruling class to the proletariat. Critics argue that DEI programs aim to dismantle existing power structures and redistribute them based on identity. Social justice versus economic justice. Marxism primarily concerns economic inequality. Critics argue that DEI programs focus on social justice issues like representation and cultural competency, neglecting economic disparities. Critique of capitalism. Some DEI frameworks include critiques of capitalism, viewing it as a system that perpetuates inequalities based on race, gender, and other social identities. This critique mirrors Marxist critiques of capitalism as inherently exploitative.
Historically, exposure to socialist ideas has had significant effects on family structures. One of the main goals of communism is to eliminate capitalist institutions by abolishing the traditional family, as it represents its greatest enemy in indoctrinating new generations to prioritize the group or society over the individual. This potentially discourages children from reaching their full potential, diminishes their competitive spirit, and limits their freedom of expression, ultimately making individuals dependent and fearful of the ruling elite.
In conclusion, the controversy surrounding DEI programs in universities reflects deeper tensions within society about the role of identity, power, and ideology in shaping social norms and institutions. While proponents argue that these initiatives are essential for promoting diversity and equality, critics raise valid concerns about their potential implications for academic freedom, democratic principles, and the pursuit of knowledge. Moving forward, engaging in open and honest dialogue about these issues is essential to ensure that universities remain spaces for critical inquiry, intellectual diversity, and the free exchange of ideas.
But now the most important thing, what do you think? Do you consider this to be a real danger or something that is being exaggerated? Please leave us your comments below.